Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Idea Studio live stream, and I am Dana. What's going on? Let me check here who's in the chat with us today. Joe P, how you doing, brother? Hey, how are you, man? By the way, how are you feeling over there in Florida? I know you haven't been feeling great, so I just want to make sure you're good. Top of the morning, Born Nomad Productions. How's things going down under? Amazaki Bodo. How things going? Anyone has Americano blend beans? No, man. I stay away. Americano is just espresso with water added. So Americano blend is really just espresso blend. And I'm a straight Arabica guy myself. Chuck full of nuts. That's what Joe's a classics guy, right? He doesn't mess around with any of these other blends. Straight classics for Joe. Chuck full of nuts. You ever do what's the popular one down there in Florida for the Cuban coffee? Cafe Bustillo? Is that the Cuban one that they use in like Tampa and Miami? You ever try that, Joe? Here, what would you say? Oh, great. I'm running out of foodstuffs here while sheltering in place. You got to get a delivery, like grab delivery or something, Amazakin. If you have it there, if you can get food delivery. What's up? Yeah, I was up a little late. I was definitely working a bit late. I was encoding videos late last night, doing some edits and encoding. I've got 4 videos uploaded yesterday for the rest of the week, and then I'm going out to film a few more today after the live stream. So we'll see how that goes. Feeling like shit. It's no good, man. You feel like, do you feel like you're getting better though? Is the shit less than it was previously, Joe, or is it getting worse? Are you hanging? I'm hanging. I got a nice big cup of coffee here. This is what I was a minute late for. I was just getting the final extraction on this going. You guys know I do French press, and I pour it over a filter, cloth filter, and I think it gives it like the perfect cup. I end up with nice body, good mouthfeel, nice flavor, but it's not overly oily or heavy like you get with a long extraction French press. Dave, how you doing, man? Is this the coffee channel? I'll talk about coffee a bit this morning, man. You guys know coffee is a big part of my morning routine. And there's a bit of a zen to my morning routine with coffee as well. So there's this idea that, for me at least, that it puts me in the right frame of mind. It's, the grinding of the beans, the getting everything ready, blooming it, adding all the water by weight, going through that, measuring by time. All of that process is important for me to sort of get my day started, with a routine, with a regimen. And doing that really helps me to move through the rest of the day successfully, at least in my opinion, in my experience. So I'm very happy to start my day with a huge cup of coffee and really get into that routine mindset. It's one of the things that works well for me. What are you saying, Joe? I get better than down, the better just sleep a lot. Yeah. I know you said you're resting quite a bit, which is unusual for you because you're kind of like me, where you seem to run at all different hours, right? By the way, that's a great shirt that you're wearing in your profile picture, Joe. I want to say that. I want to throw that out there. But Joe, you seem to be a lot like me, whereas you do run at all different hours. So like I'll chat with you at all different hours of the night, and you're awake working on something, doing something. So it's gonna be tough for you to just be sleeping all the time. Which is worse, electric chair or guillotine, Amazakin? I would imagine electric chair is going to be the worst, just because there are so many failures with it, right? At least the guillotine, your head's off, it's done. I don't think there's ever any cases of having to do the guillotine twice, but I could be wrong. But the electric chair, they've had more than a few attempts where someone was not pronounced dead after the first run through on the guillotine on the electric chair, and they had to run it back. So yeah, definitely electric chair worse. And I believe that's lethal injection is popular now in America, but I believe electric chair is still used in quite a few states. Cafe Bustelo is for my espresso. Yeah, that's the Cuban style coffee, right? It's espresso, and they whip in sugar as it's being poured, right? And it creates like a frothy, thick espresso that's very sweet. Which personally, I'm not an espresso fan for the most part. I don't mind a good espresso, quality espresso or quality cafe Americano, but for me, the espresso is, it's really more of a cafe thing. It's made for quick production, so you can get in and out and they can make you a drink quickly. Like I said, I much prefer my French press. It takes a few minutes to make, or pour over. It takes, time to make. And I find that extraction much nicer. But anyway, enough about coffee. I know that Dave's in here. Gotta love Thailand. And I was just giving him some coffee advice. I sent him some links to some basic equipment and how I do it. So hopefully he'll be reporting back with some good coffee soon. Just black. That's how I drink it, Joe. Just black. But I think Cuban espresso is the sugar. Senior Frank, you haven't gone to bed yet. Coffee is for closers. Damn right. Hey, so I was up on Soy 95 yesterday. I ended up, Jim and I popped up there for dinner to grab some food, and I was like, right until I were about to leave, I was like, oh shit, I should have pinged Senior Frank. I'm going out to film today, so on my way home, if it's after like 1 p.m., I'll ping you, and if you're around, we can meet up on my way back. I'm gonna go do some walk and talks over at like Asok Nana area and get some footage, do some film. What I found is that with the GoPro, with the Hero 9 specifically, you have to be, for the hyper smooth boost to work well or to work optimally, you need to just essentially be in a high light area, and it needs to be able to have an incredibly high shutter speed. So you've got to put the shutter speed on auto, and then using the shutter speed's lab function, set a minimum so that it can't, if you get into a dark area, it'll bump the ISO instead of stretching out the shutter speed as much as it can. So that's one of the things I found. If you watch my Soy 95 market video, you'll see that there's some blur issues as I turn. And I believe that was because there wasn't enough light, because it was sunrise at the time I was there. And so while it was lit, there really wasn't a ton of direct light. And I believe that was the cause, from some of the research I did, what other people have reported. Low light tends to be the enemy of hyper smooth set to boost. So I'm going to try to only go out midday now and later, like I'm thinking between 10 a.m. and probably 4 p.m. right now. 5 p.m. is going to be optimal for me to get enough light for hyper smooth to work, and for those videos to really be, error free as far as the technical side of the GoPro. Just notified I went live 4 minutes ago. Hey, Hugh. Yeah, the notification's weird. I scheduled this last night, or 2 days ago, I think. Before yesterday, I definitely scheduled it. So it's been scheduled for a while. I think StreamYards is having some issues pushing the actual stream out, which is tough. Yes, I will. Yeah, Dave, I'm looking forward to hearing how you like the coffee. I sent you the beans and everything, so you get the links. I don't know if your wife was able to find the beans locally or not, the aroma shop. There's a ton around Bangkok. I'll be up. I actually went to sleep around, what? Just woke up and wow, you changing up your whole schedule. Yeah, usually you're an overnight guy going to bed around this time. And Mizaki, the squad is gathered here. Hand out the Leos and M1000 drink. Yeah. M150, baby. Those Thai energy drinks, Kradak Dang, the Red Bull, the original Red Bull, that stuff's got some kick to it. Very syrupy. Joe P says he'll die at 84. Me and 21-year-old. That's a good way to go. Good way to go, Joe. I saw some jiggles in one of those. Yeah. So I think it was the soy, to me, the soy 95 market video had just a lot of issues. And what it looks like is, for whatever reason, things pull in and out of focus, even though there's no autofocus to speak of on the GoPro. But I think the low light causes some issue with the digital side of the lens where it's just pulled funny. And that's interesting that the way it was. I put the video up anyway because I thought the market video was good, that morning market, but there's definitely some unpleasantries in the stabilization that I believe are due to a low light situation and then the camera reducing the shutter speed. So before I go out today, I'm going to use the GoPro Labs minimum shutter speed function and flash that onto the camera so that I'm shooting at 50 frames per second. I'll make it so my minimum shutter speed is going to be 100, is set to 1/100th. That way it can stretch up to reduce the to improve the exposure, but it can't drop below that. So the picture will just be darker if I'm in a real dark situation, which midday in Bangkok with the way the sun is looking now, I should have no issue. Probably better not to rely too much on their techno wizardry and use the techno wizardry of post-production. But post-production stabilization doesn't look anywhere as good as hyper smooth, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts. I think you get the image starts to look a little wonky if you use like stabilization in Premiere or Final Cut, but if you get it right out of camera with hyper smooth, I think it looks fantastic. Generally speaking, if there's enough light, the stabilization of it is phenomenal. Joe, put in a good word at the pearly gates. Poutine is very heavy food, but I like it. Yeah, poutine is a fantastic food. There's a place here, I believe it's called Fatty's, that has poutine specials in Bangkok. Like poutine is like their number one thing. Yeah, notifications are spasmatic. I got mine 30 minutes ago. Yeah, so you got the 30, like you got the Idea Studios going live in 30 minutes notification. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I wonder if it's because I'm uploading so much content right now. I'm trying to do a video a day. So even like I do the live stream this morning, I'll still have a video tonight. So I wonder if YouTube's just, for whatever reason, say, okay, no need to notify for everything now. Or maybe, notify a little bit later on certain things. There'll be something pearly. Senior Frank, I had some early errands on Sunday that cut my normal sleep time dramatically. So I was getting caught up with a nap that turned into 12 hours of hard sleep. Yeah. I've had those naps as well, Senior Frank, where I'm gonna sit in my nap chair for like a minute or for like 30 minutes. I usually plan, and 6 hours of hard sleep later, I wake up, ready to go. But for me, it's usually I'll try to sleep. I try to take a nap in the afternoon. Like I'll plan to take a nap today before I go out. But in reality, what's going to end up happening probably is I know I'll set my alarm and I'll force myself to get up. But if I'm not feeling totally energetic, I'll end up sleeping right through that nap. And let's see what happens. I worked at Ethiopia a couple years. They have great coffee there. So this is funny. I have a friend who works in Ethiopia now with an NGO, and he says they drink instant coffee there all the time. They don't actually, even though Ethiopia grows some of the best coffee in the world, they don't drink it there. They export it all, and they drink instant coffee. I mean, I'm sure there are cafes and stuff that have great local coffee if you hunt it down. But he said, from what my friend said, 9 out of 10 people are drinking instant coffee there, and it's It's the same way in Borneo, where Borneo actually grows some really interesting, unique coffee, but it's hard to get at the local cafes. You more or less end up getting instant coffee or Nescafe essentially everywhere you might go. Just trying to adjust that a bit. There we go. So I don't know if that was your experience, but that was definitely my friend's experience when he was telling me in Ethiopia and also Kenya. When the conditions don't allow for hyper smooth, switch to post production solution. Yeah, it's funny. Like I can't. Like it's tough to tell sometimes. Like I would have thought for sure the morning market when I was out there filming had enough light. And the video I uploaded last night, walking down Soy 93, which is definitely a life in your own hands situation. If you saw that video, is walking on 93 has no sidewalk, so it is definitely interesting. But that was just a few minutes later, and I feel like I had more than enough light to actually film. And if you look at the stabilization, it was much better than in the market video, the Soy 95 market video, which is a shame. I mean, I'm gonna have to go back maybe like this time into the morning, 8 a.m. or like 9 a.m. as opposed to like 6:30, 6:45. I'm gonna go to heaven. If I go to hell, I'll take over. I always thought hell sounded like the more fun of the two locations. That's where all the fun people are probably ending up, depending on whose interpretation of requirements you listen to. Dave says, if I go to heaven when I die, I know absolutely no one except for my mother, baby. Yeah, exactly. I feel like all the interesting people are going to be in hell. It's probably a lot nicer than they make you think at church, at least. Probably much nicer there than they make you think. Much better time. Anyone meditate? I try to do it every day, 15 minutes. I do take a few moments a day for mindfulness, Joe. I don't know if I'll say meditation, but I do take some time for mindfulness every day. I try to do at least 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll really lock in like 30 minutes if there's just nothing going on, completely quiet. I can sort of hit those moments of Zen. Media composer fixes it well, but then again, I'm biased. Yeah, you might be a little biased. I doubt you're doing much post-production stabilization too, Born Nomad Productions. Chris, you're probably definitely doing not in a position usually to have to fix that type of footage, I would imagine. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. It may be something else, right? It may not be the light issue, but so when I think about it, I think I probably spent an hour in total at the market, like walking up and down. Then I actually stopped and got some food and then walked back down 93. So the light situation, the sun was significantly higher and behind me. So everything that the camera was looking at as I walked down 93 was well lit versus very low. The sky was actually still dark when I got on the Songtel in the morning. And it had just gotten light by the time I got to the market. So that may have very well been my downfall, was that lack of light going into it. It's again technical issues. And one of the things I'm working on this week, I've shot about half of the studio tour for the design studio. And I want to get that edited together. I was going to try to do that for this Wednesday, but I've got a big meeting Wednesday, and I'm doing some training with a company here on Tuesday. They're doing some coaching with their junior leadership. So, I've got my early part of the week's a little bunched up. So I'm going to try to get that particular video done by next week, hopefully the studio tour itself, and talk about like all the different stuff in the design studio. And then I've got another video that I'm filming with Jib for a craft project that will culminate probably next weekend on Bangkok Strange as well. So there's a lot of stuff being pulled together. So, but I'll be out today, and I will definitely test some footage with the GoPro, as far as I'll do the manual setting of the shutter speed to see how hyper smooth reacts at those slower shutter speeds, and see if that really does make the difference with the hyper smooth. Oh, good coffee. That Via Ping. My beans are just my go-to rock for that morning coffee. I'll tell you. That Via Ping medium roast, so smooth. And what I love about Thai coffee, guys, is it very much is a classic coffee flavor, hands down. Just a classic coffee, great flavor, very round, earthy. My daughter was here and put me on Pulse Ox on me, and she said it was okay for now. She'll be here at 8 a.m. Okay, yeah, as long as your pulse ox is good and your heart rate, your breathing is okay, Joe, I think we're all going to be happy. If you get into a touchy situation, I know you said you don't want to get stuck at the hospital, but probably best place to be if you start having breathing issues. Yeah, true. Not often, not much we can fix, and not much left on the floor these days. Scraps are left for variants down. Yeah, I would imagine. And also, like, again, there's the people who you work with. We've had some conversations offline, Chris. The people you're working with are probably not leaving to chance a lot, and they're not setting up shots where they're going to be losing footage, given the cost probably per second of the footage you guys are shooting. So yeah, I imagine there's very few liberties or chances taken with shaky footage. What am I using for a camera for the live stream, Dave? It's a Logitech 922C, I believe, is I can tell you. Logitech C922 Pro 1080p camera, but obviously StreamYard limits me to 720p, which is probably better. I don't think there's a need for me to stream in 1080. For the most part, it looks great. It looks fine. And I don't think people are looking for super high definition on the stream. And I think 720 gives it that decent balance between bandwidth and, sharpness and image quality. It wasn't that long ago that most sports were actually shot in 720 just because it looked better, from the camera perspective, what they were capturing. Senior Frank said a lot of math and prep involved in professional. Yeah, for sure. Especially since Chris shoots on film. He's not even shooting digital. When he's shooting somewhere, what he does requires film. So they're not even shooting digital with that. With digital, I think there's a lot more leeway. It is like that's what they have DPs for and cinematographers, right? They're figuring out all of these things with the director and making it work. I was watching some DP interviews not that long ago on like how DPs work with directors and the different styles, and the technicality that goes into that is absolutely crazy. Hey, Bangkok Musings, how's it going? How's things over in your neck of the woods? Yeah, so true, right? Every shot is meticulously planned. Am I gonna do a coffee video at Pax Place? Yeah, we talked about it. We gotta figure out scheduling because, like, even to get him over here for that day to do the cupping and the espresso. I'm sorry, I just saw Beard's video pop up, comment pop up. Even to get Pac over here that day was tough to get our two schedules to work together because he's really trying to grow 50 Milk Street. And so he's been quite busy with that, and it was just tough to kind of lock it down. But we're gonna try for like the next couple of weeks for me to get over to his place. And if you guys have seen his videos, he's got like this room he films his coffee videos in, and all this different gear that he's selling in his shop. So he's also waiting for another piece to pop in, and once that comes, it'll be cool for us to do a video with that. I don't want to throw too much out there, but it's something interesting he's waiting on that would be fun for us to have in a video together. Was I on Horn Pub? Absolutely. That's why I was late. I needed that early morning fix of the Horn Pub, which you get a VPN to it from here. So maybe my VPN's on. Is that not? It's technically illegal here unless you go to the VPN, but they also have the .org domain set up, which is not blocked. All's well over here. Nice. Yeah, I'm seeing that the notifications aren't going out that much, man. So a lot of people are saying they're only getting the 30-minute or live now notification. We still destroy the occasional camera when Nolan gets involved. Yeah, he's willing to crash a plane with a very expensive IMAX camera in it, right? 70 millimeter IMAX camera just getting smashed into the beach or something, or buried in sand. I was in a commercial. Like every now and then I'll go to castings. Usually whenever there's a casting call for a chubby guy with a beard, one of the casting directors in Bangkok will usually reach out to me to get me for something. Or if there's like a need for a big nerdy guy, I'm almost always their go-to. And so I've done like a few movies and a few commercials. And I remember I was doing a commercial down in Pattaya for a Polish travel agency down on the beach, and they were shooting the commercial with a red weapon. And my scene was being in the ocean, and I had to like go underwater and then pop out and just like blah, 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 wave my hands in the air. And I was supposed to be like a sea monster. They were filming like this whole kind of funny beach scene. And like there was a guy on the beach with binoculars who got like all surprised when he saw me. But they actually put the camera in like a condom type thing, like a zip up waterproof case, and carried this red weapon camera into the ocean while waves are smashing down on us, and me trying to pop out of the water and go blah, blah, blah. And then they were filming it at like a really high frame rate, and they were like telling me they were going to slow it down. I got to watch the replay with the director, so it was kind of cool. But yeah, I was shocked that they just carry this camera right into the ocean. I mean, it's a rental, but still, they put it in this little zip up waterproof pouch and brought it in, and they were standing right where the waves were crashing. And I remember one of the scenes when I was watching it back with the director, you could see the wave crashing right over the lens. I was like, oh my God, so much money on the line. Like, I'm sure saltwater is not the best friend of cameras. Someone has mentioned about living in Ethiopia and how the coffee was great. I agree. Ethiopia and Kenya coffee rocks. So yeah, so Bangkok Musings. I was saying, yeah, that some of the best coffee in the world comes from Ethiopia and Kenya. Especially Ethiopia tends to have some of the coffee that's most widely considered to be good. Like most people will find a medium roast Ethiopian coffee above average. But what I was saying, my friend who lived there had told me most people there just drink instant coffee, or they drink like really dark roasted espresso, as opposed to the specialty Ethiopian and Kenyan coffees that get exported. Is like that's much more rare to get unless you go into high-end cafes, was what his experience was related to me. And I was saying it was similar to my experience in Borneo, where Borneo grows very good coffee, quite different than Ethiopian Arabica, but still quite very nice coffee. But it's mostly sold in KL or exported to other parts of Asia, and they drink like Nescafe there, which I always found odd, because you have access to the freshest, greatest coffee in the world, and you're drinking like Nescafe and exporting it somewhere else. But we all get to enjoy it, but it would be essentially pennies there for the best coffee. I always envisioned, before he told me about his experience, my friend's experience in Ethiopia, I always envisioned like all these little street cafes with like this magical Arabica that just making coffee out of. But he's like, no, Nescafe. They pour the water in, mix it up, good to go, like the 3-in-1s. Just got DaVinci Resolve for free. One going to nice. Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about DaVinci Resolve being a fantastic editing platform, Joe. Even Chris, who retired working for you, was telling me that. And he said it used to be really more of a coloring thing, and now it's a free editor, and the free version works really good. Yeah, Jib left early for school, so she's over there. She's done with school the end of the month or the beginning of April. So, she's very much going to be just, nonstop the rest of this month trying to get. She's finishing up her second gold piece today, and then it's her final graduation piece is her main focus until she finishes, because that is like the one thing standing between her and finishing this program. And then she wants to go to another program at the Royal Academy for drawing, which will be she won't go this year because of the overlap in applying. So she's trying to focus on just working. Oh, I just got I'm sorry, guys. I just got something from about my revised invoice from DHL. Sorry. So yeah, she's focusing on the embroidery, and she wants to go to work with this one fashion line and do commercial embroidery for the year, and then she'll do the drawing program next year. Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's true. They do just drink instant coffee. Man, it makes sense. For the music guy. Excellent. That's great fun. We'll definitely bring out your. Yes, I think that for being free, I know Josh, Suburban Bearded, tried it as well. I think he's using Power Director now, but I think he played with Adobe with DaVinci Resolve. I keep telling Suburban Beard to just man up and buy a Mac, get on Final Cut Pro. He doesn't want to listen to me. I was in Costa Rica in 2015. The coffee I had was some of the best ever. Yeah, Costa Rican coffee too. They have in South America, their coffee, they really have like this super high elevation coffee that's quite interesting. And I had where is it? I think it was a Costa Rican coffee, but it was an Ethiopian plant. And then they do what they call a yeast process where they kind of ferment the beans. And that was probably the best cup of coffee I ever had, hands down. It was an Ethiopian coffee plant grown in Costa Rica. It was Ethiopian variant grown in Costa Rica. Joe, man, thank you. Joe just bought me a coffee. Joe, thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. Again, if you guys want to support the channel, you can go to buymeacoffee.com. Always appreciated, but not required. I'm just here doing stuff, having fun with it. So always appreciate it from you guys. Thank you so much. Joe, especially, man. You're a rock star. But yeah, the coffee it was a bean. I had it here in Bangkok, Ethiopian variety, grown in Costa Rica, yeast processed, and it was absolutely mind blowing. It was so fruity. It was almost like drinking a Jolly Rancher. It is the best way I can describe it, or like a liquid fruit roll up. It was just this weird, overly fruity, naturally sweet taste. It was amazing. And a lot of that comes down to the processing, the yeast process. But, that Ethiopian variety of Arabica is known for these amazing flavors, and then grown at this super high elevation in Chile. Just mind blowing combination of everything. Oh, yes, sir. Bodo, yes, he's Brian. Indeed. So the music guy, I always think of him as the Swahili guy after he told me about his live stream, doing 50-50 English Swahili live streams. Yeah, man. Actually, Brian, I do have to check out that Ethiopian restaurant that Bodo's talking about, man. I love Ethiopian food, man. It brings me back to my days living in Boston in the late 90s and always going to this Ethiopian restaurant. Oh yeah, you wouldn't refer to yourself as the music guy either. Man, I'm ready for Ethiopian food, dude. Let's do it. I'm taking Emazaki's spot. Hit the thumbs. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thumbs up all around. You can't get past the border at Sungla. Yeah. Soon enough, my friend. Soon enough. I'm hoping. DaVinci Resolve is more complicated than most people need. iMovie or the equivalent PC software is more than enough. Most people can shoot and edit on a phone all in one app and be in good shape. Yeah, I agree. The Resolve seems a bit complicated. I love Final Cut. For me is I love Final Cut. I think it's better than, for me, it's better than Adobe Premiere. I don't want to say it's better in general. It's better for me. Obviously, Adobe Premiere does a lot of things that Final Cut doesn't, but the UI, the workflow in Final Cut is so good. I can't complain. So, I'm always down for, to try whatever software, but I used Adobe for probably 3 years and I was just never really happy with the workflow and I had to get into it. I just noticed all this paperwork I got behind me. We're actually shipping a bunch of stuff out, so I got a few things packed up there. I have to clean. Those are my movie chairs. I'm actually working on a video about those chairs and Scala, and so I've got to clean those off and shoot some very sexy B-roll for those chairs, because I'm doing a whole thing about Scala, like the history of Scala and the building. Actually, maybe if I have time today, I'll get down to Siam Square and film some footage of Scala, because it's all ripped apart now. Mike sent me some photos from there yesterday. He was, I don't know if he was there to meet with Earth or he was just down getting bagels at Chitlome and walked over, but it's in a tough spot. So I definitely want to get that footage because I think the Scala video will be a lot of fun. And it's one of my favorite places in Bangkok, and such beautiful. It was beautiful. The architecture is still beautiful, but they've ripped down all the chandeliers and a lot of the copper plating on the wall and ceiling. So it's kind of sad. All right, man. I'm gonna hit you up online and we'll work that out too, because I gotta have, what do they call that spongy bread, man? Oh, it's so good. And I love. I remember when I think I told you I used to date the waitress from the Ethiopian place in Cambridge. She's gorgeous. But yeah, I was mostly because I was in there all the time. And I think just flirting with her every day. Finally, like after a couple months, broke down and she decided to go out with me. Yeah, Final Cut Pro, man, it's the way to go. I mean, the workflow is just so seamless. And Brian, man, I have the M1 Mac Mini, dude. The speed at which it encodes is amazing. I'm exporting videos, faster than 1-to-1 with this machine, and given the specs, it shouldn't be the case. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Workflow wise and just so seamless, compared to, I mean, I still have not Final Cut. I still have Premiere on this computer because I still have the Adobe suite, and I use Photoshop and Illustrator still quite a bit. But, as far as, workflow, the Final Cut just works so well. And actually I just bought Affinity photo editor, essentially Affinity's version of Photoshop and Illustrator. And so I've been playing with those. I'm not quite as proficient with those as I am on Photoshop yet, so I haven't made the full switch, but learning them, it's quite nice. It's quite an interesting software package. And it's a one-time fee. I think it was 750 baht for Affinity Photo and Illustrator. Joe says he was in Ethiopia at the end of 1984. What were you doing there, Joe? Overthrowing governments? Suburban Beard says he worships Filmora Pro. Loser. But I've been teaching myself DaVinci Resolve because there are a lot of things I want to know how to do. Buy a Mac, get Final Cut Pro. You'll be good to go, Josh. Just do it. OPS Filmora, not Filmora Pro. What's the difference? Oh, the spongy bread, injera. Yeah, it's so good. I love the sourness of it. Is like something just so nice about that. Put all the beans and the curries in there. Good to go. I don't know. It's not curry, right? But it's like just bean. It's a very unique, not curry flavor, but just throwing out the wrong terminology for Ethiopian food, but the flavors are so bold and unique. I'm finding a lack of words to describe it other than amazeballs. Army medic in Ethiopia. Nice. So you were overthrowing governments while you were there, Joe. you're patching people back together while they overthrew governments. I'm trying to think. Some of my friends did tours in the Horn of Africa, or Gold Coast, or Ivory Coast, one of the two in Africa. When I was in the army, I never went to Africa in the army, but I had a couple of friends who did, and they enjoyed it. It was a humanitarian mission, so good time. Filmora Pro is like DaVinci Resolve, but I'm cheap, so I won't pay. Just buy a Mac, Josh. Buy a Mac. Avid Media Composer equals intuitive plus great workflow. Oh, really? Intuitive. See, I find the intuitive UI is what's lacking from Adobe Premiere, but is what Final Cut Pro is really good at. It's that intuitive workflow, especially. Well, I guess too, when I started making, not when I started making YouTube videos, because I started my first channel was like probably 2010, but I would say when I really started taking it serious in 2014, I started on iMovie. Hey, morning, babe. Jib is here online. How's school? I was talking about your gold piece is almost done, and you'll be jumping into the final, the masterpiece, if you will, for the next month before you graduate. So head down into the silk for the next month for sure. Joe says, during the famine, there was so bad. I would not wish that anyway. Yeah, I can imagine. Famine has got to be rough. I've never witnessed that myself. So I'm looking at Avid Media Composer now. Let me go to the buy now link and see what this costs. Because what it says, editors using Media Composer can earn a 96% higher salary than Premiere Pro editors. Damn. That's quite a bit of money. 96% higher than Premiere Pro editors. So I guess if you're a pro editor, that makes a difference. I'm not getting paid to edit, so that would not be for me. And then they have, so Media Composer Ultimate starts at $49.99 USD. Save money when you commit to 12 months. Oh, if you're a student or a teacher, you get it at $9.99 USD. 49. So let's see. So I'm assuming, Chris, you have Ultimate. And you probably, yeah, I'll let you use cookies on me. So I guess you probably paid for the year. You probably pay a year at a time, get it for $4.99. It seems like the best deal here. Or you somehow have it as a student or teacher for almost nothing. Oh, they have multiple. You can pay for a 2-year or a 3-year. Oh, so I see it's $74.99 if you pay monthly. Then you can prepay a 3-year subscription for $1,300. Oh, and then there are add-ons. Production pack, a video plugin bundle. God, this is expensive. This gets expensive quick. $6.99 for media for the production pack. Video plugin bundle for Media Composer that includes 4 complimentary software tools to increase your production. Production pack upgrade. Wow, so you can buy the production pack and then you can for $6.99, and then you upgrade it for an additional $250. A video plugin for Media Composer that includes 4 contemporary software tools. Ignite Pro enhances your ability for your editor by upgrading it with powerful visual effects. And then they have something called the coffee mug for $12.99. Introducing the official Media Composer coffee mug. Now you can sip in style. Oh, they send you a okay, your own coffee mug. Damn. And then you can add elite support for $360. Ultimate online tech support, response with 1 hour, high priority, and that's $360 a year. So yeah, I imagine that suite. That's why you can get 96% more. That's a cool mug though, with the black mug with the whole layout on it. 11 ounces though. Who only drinks 11 ounces of coffee? So yeah, that's quite the expensive Avid Media Composer. That is quite the expensive kit to go ahead and get. I would say. Chill out morning, nice, man. Everything. How's the weather at school? It's almost 30 here at home. Oh, Joe's got jokes. Please don't call me. You're supposed to like, don't call me babe in front of Dana. Hey, Hike, what's going on, man? How's things out there in the Bama? It took the words from. What can I get for $19.95? We use a modified version. Company pays. I'm cheap. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you have that Premiere support though, right? No doubt. I like how it tells you the production pack, and when you click more details, it just tells you the same thing. It doesn't tell you what the tools are. I felt guilty when I had to eat. Yeah, I would imagine, man. It's cool in the palace, nice. Yeah, you're down the river. I still miss the original Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro X was way too much like iMovie, and a lot of features got zapped. It's gotten better over the years. Now I prefer it, but it was, so I started using it after they added a bunch of stuff back in, because I was on iMovie for a long time. But I think the move to have the UI be more like iMovie was smart, because it gives users an easy path to migrate and upgrade. And I think that's an important way to go with it. So if you're used to the iMovie UI UX, you're going to be just fine transitioning to Final Cut and using a more pro level software. But yeah, they did zap a lot of features from what everyone's told me. But I was using iMovie for so long, and even I think I was using Power Director before I moved over to Mac. So that was before 2010. Because I think I got my first Mac in 2011. And I think I did my first like a couple of YouTube videos back in like before 2010. But then I had a company where we put a lot of content up on MySpace back in the early 2000s. That was a big thing for us. We had almost 100,000 followers or friends or whatever they called them on MySpace, watching the bulk TV videos is what me and my friends used to call them. And we're kind of like a Jackass ripoff, like a low rent version of Jackass without the creative direction of Bam Margera. Senior Frank says pro users were not into it. I worked at Apple at the time. The guys that worked in Final Cut Pro support were getting kicked around daily. Yeah, I can imagine. If you push out a huge update and you change a lot of the features, you're definitely going to get a kick in the nuts from your user base for sure. Especially if you change the UI UX completely, which from what I understand, the UI UX between Final Cut and Final Cut X was a massive shift. Hike says it was nice in Alabama today. Went to wash my car, and about 20 other people had the same idea. The place was crowded. Yeah, man. I would just always spray my car down at home, a little bit of soap, and then I have friends who would go out to like the detailing place and like get every little thing cleaned up. I'd vacuum the inside, hit it with a hose. It's going to be in the junkyard eventually anyway, unfortunately. But now the nice part is no need for a car living in the big city, man. BTS all day. It's like a jumbo limo. MySpace only had one friend, this guy named Tom. I found out months later that Tom was the owner or something. Yeah, he was probably the first guy to get, especially if you think about MySpace was located just after the .com era. So when Tom had a huge exit from MySpace, that was a big thing and really interesting. It's funny, he still has the same profile picture on a lot of his social media that he had as Tom from MySpace. Hell yeah, Big Red. Oh man, I love Big Red. Someone, I think it was someone posted the other day that they'd like to see me do some Big Red videos. So like where Big Red takes me. And I was thinking like a lot of neighborhoods have a Big Red or a Little Red. Maybe I should do a video where I hit like all the different neighborhoods and just ride their version of Big Red to the end. You know, however far the 8 or 6 or 10 baht takes me. In Tonglo, they have a little mini bus actually that takes you down Soi 55. It's a bus a little bit bigger than Big Red, but the inside's a little bit shorter actually, so I can't really stand up. I have to put my head all the way down when I'm inside that little mini bus. Jib can stand, no problem, but I can't. Like if I don't get a seat on that little mini bus, I end up with like my neck bent down the entire ride, and every time we hit a bump, like the back of my head will hit the ceiling. So I tend to avoid that little mini bus. Whereas Big Red, I can actually stand. If I can't get a seat, I can stand on the back and just kind of hang off a bit, and my head's not hitting anything, which is nice. Or, you know, with Little Red, some of the Little Reds, I have to be cautious when I jump on the little songtels because I have to look at the roof because there are some that pop up about 20 centimeters. And if I get in one of those, I can sit down, I have enough headroom. But if it's one of the little songtels that has the flat roof, even if I'm sitting in the chair, my head will be flush against the top, even if I'm sort of hunching over to try to fit. So it's one of the things I have to be very cautious of when I pick my songtels. And unfortunately, I learned that the hard way in Soi 93 is not a smooth ride. So you're riding the short bus now? I've always been riding the short bus hike. I'm not going to deny it. I've always been a short bus guy. You should interview the PP guy, just not face to face. The PP guy? I'm not sure who the PP. Oh, you're talking about the guy pissing on the clong. So if you guys watched the video I dropped last night on Soi 93. I was walking over one of so there's a bridge I've got to go over at the beginning of the Klong, at the beginning of the Soi, not the beginning, probably a quarter of the way down Soi 93 where the Klong is. And there's a guy standing against the wall pissing on it. Some old, like 80-year-old Thai guy just taking a piss on the side of the road. Actually, one time I was walking when we lived in Soi Pai Singto in Asok. I was walking home. And this guy, so we lived right on the front end of Klong Toi. So like even like on one side of the bridge would often be dry unless it was the rainy season. So it was like the very start of Klong Toi. And I was walking up the sidewalk and this guy literally just standing on the sidewalk, dick in hand, taking a piss into the Klong. But on Soi Pai Singto is not a side road. It's a main cut through in that area. He's just sitting there with his dick in his hand, pissing. And I may have inadvertently bumped him when I walked past and he fell into the Klong. That may have happened. And I just kept walking. Hey, Stuck, what's going on, man? Went to watch the SpaceX launch and they canceled it. Really? They can't. I saw that was happening today. What did they say why they canceled? Was it weather related or technical? Hello, Bama. So I got Chris here. iMovie is still a great product for quick jobs. I love it. Biggest advantage of Media Composer is to stack effects, save, and then pull them in instantly with a single click automation. Coffee time. Nice. Yeah, I think Yeah, that does sound like a good feature. For me, it's always been for me, one of the things I like about Final Cut over iMovie is actually being able to layer stuff, and put effects on top of each other, or graphics on top, or stack up B-roll clips that you can't really do in iMovie because of the limitation on the timeline. Hey Brian, definitely, I'll ping you later, man. We'll set up a day and time to grab some Ethiopian food, and I'd love to check out that African fabric shop as well, because I'm a fabric freak. I love fabrics, and African fabric colors especially are very vibrant. I love the color palette and the combinations that they use. Completely, you know, completely in the face of Western color wheel. So I love that about African fabric. So definitely, I'll hit you up. We'll make plans. The fives. Ha 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 ha. I'm very sure my P ends up in that same clong. Yeah, no doubt, right, CJ Frank? Yeah, one flush. I'm pretty sure everything's going in the clong. When I did the clong walk video I filmed, that's the clong closer to me on Pung Mi Soy 17, Sipjet, and that water was definitely not the color you want to see water being, and very stagnant as well. So I'm sure quite a bit ends up in there that should not. Got a motorcycle? Do you go for? I have a scooter, right? So I've had big bikes in the past, hike, but honestly, I'm just not a big bike person, and for me, jumping on a bike is about convenience and about ease. So I prefer a 125cc bike all day, every day. I have an MSX 125 4-speed motorcycle or scooter, whatever you want to call it. And to me, that's the perfect ride for the city. And I've had big bikes, sport bikes, dual sports, and for me, it all day I would pick a scooter over a big bike any day. And actually, I was making this comparison with someone the other day that we were talking about. They were talking to them about their product, and they were going to roll out a new version. And I was saying what they wanted to roll out is like a 1,000cc bike, like a liter bike. And of course, anyone will sell it to you, but you probably shouldn't be riding a liter bike anyway, because you're going to die. And if you sell your customer something that you're going to die on, they're not going to be a repeat customer. So it was like, maybe, scale it back and sell your customer something like a 250 to get them started and work them up to the liter bike. But yeah, like big bikes, big bikes are awesome in that they're fast and they're powerful and everything, but you get stuck in traffic just the same as you do with a car, almost, because you can't cut through stuff. And that's the advantage of having a scooter. Also, I find the seating position on a scooter much more comfortable than the seating position on a sport bike or an enduro. Oh, where was I? Stuck says the weather is beautiful. Not sure what the problem was. Huh? Yeah, it's interesting that they canceled that close. So I mean, obviously safety and money, key priorities there. And if you think you're going to lose the launch, it's better just to cancel it. Rather lose a few million than a few hundred million, right? Ethiopia, right? So good, Ethiopian food. Oh, it's probably, in my opinion, the only. I think in the U.S., the only Ethiopian place I ever saw in the places I lived was the one in Cambridge that I was near where I was staying. So I wish it was more prominent, because it's so delicious. It's one of those foods that you can just eat. It has a very healthy. It feels light, and you don't eat it and you feel sick. Where like if you were to smash a couple burgers midday, you might not be in the best feelings. Stuck is driving, so just be listening. All right, man. Glad to have you on board. Glad to have you listen. Appreciate it. Hey, Stuck. Oh, you're driving and can't see. I'll read your comment. Board Nomad Production says, "Hey, Stuck." Don't look at the comments. If anyone addresses you, Stuck, I'll just read it out. Joe says, "Just gave my youngest son my Road King. I'll be getting the new Pan America on the list." Oh, nice. Yeah, Todd was messaging me the other day. He's looking at the Triumphs. It'll be interesting to see what he gets. He really wants a big bike. I mean, again, big bikes are awesome, but I'm a scooter all day long. Weather here in Cali has been summertime beautiful. We have an Ethiopian joint right around the corner. I'll have to check it out. Oh, nice, man. Lucky. Yeah, dude, Ethiopian food is so good. And they have this spongy sour bread called, and Brian was correcting me. I couldn't remember what it was called, but it's called injera. It's so good. I remember the place in Cambridge had this mango liqueur at the restaurant, and it was like drinking liquid sunshine. It was amazing. It's sweet and thick and syrupy. It was the great after I dare say after lunch digestive aid, I'll call it. But it's so nice. It was a nice dessert drink for sure. Yeah, I guess the Valley, you guys would have an Ethiopian place. I don't remember. Well, I lived in Monterey, right? I didn't live in San Francisco, and I don't remember there being one near me. I think when I was living in Monterey, I ate mostly Mexican food because it was the first time, like, I was blown away by how good Mexican food was in California. And every time I would see Mexican food, that would be my first choice because it is completely different animal than the food that was what they called Mexican food on the East Coast. So Cali Mexican, I mean, in like the shittiest of Mexican foods in California was phenomenal compared to the best Mexican foods on the East Coast, at least in my experience. So I was incredibly happy to be eating Mexican all the time. And then there was a Middle Eastern place in Monterey right down the street from my place that wasn't bad. But, Mexican was always my go-to just because it was there and it was so good. So yeah, project-wise this week, in the studio, I've got a few things. Like I said, I'm doing some Tuesday training with one of my clients going in there, but then I've also got some other projects I'm focused on, some design stuff. I want to wrap up a few kind of online design things as well. And I'm going to be migrating a few different projects to, different online design stuff. And then with Jib graduating, I want to we have a big project we've been planning. So I want to start my part of that and start getting that underway so that when she does end up with some free time, she has the ability to work on it. So that will be interesting. And that's going to require me having a conversation with her about the format and the medium that we're going to work in. Because I think she was saying that she wanted to work with a different type frame than the one we have. So that'll be a conversation that we have going forward. I'll get that film so I can kind of show you guys what we're planning and what it's going to look like. This one is in San Jose, has been there for around 20 years. Oh, nice. But I've never eaten there. Hopefully it survived this pandemic, right, man? That would be good if restaurants survive the pandemic. Hike says, "Call me crazy. I like Taco Bell." Taco Bell, as long as you don't think of it as Mexican food, it's perfectly fine fast food for what it is, but it's not Mexican. Jib says, "I never have free time." Yeah, you will though. You'll have some after the 8th. You still have to finish that masterpiece. Joe, soon. We're aiming to wrap that up on the next Bangkok Strange, if you know what I mean. The delivery of it, if you understand. So maybe next Saturday, assume potential finished project. Senior Frank says, "Middle Eastern, North African food has a bit too much goat for my liking, but the spices are great. Ethiopian and Iranian are standouts, but I had camel in Qatar that was bomb diggity." Really, camel? Is it? I would have thought camel was really fatty, but I guess fat is flavor, right? Yeah, North African food, Middle Eastern, Iranian food's really good for sure. Lebanese food is fantastic as well. I like Taco Bell also. You're not crazy. Again, man, I say Taco Bell is not bad. Just don't think of it as Mexican. It's just fast food. It's one of those things that hits the spot. One of my, I want to say it was between my senior year and my first year of my first time in college. I worked at Taco Bell for the summer on the night shift until like 3 a.m. Probably worst job I ever had, just as far as a place to work at, but it was a lot of fun in other terms. I would eat nonstop there. When Taco Bell had the vegan options here in Bangkok, I ate it quite a few times. I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it's tasty. It hits the spot. Their sauces are still, that hot sauce, still one of my favorite things. I could put that on anything, but I don't think of it as Mexican food. And I don't think of it as, I also don't think of it as quality, right? I just think of it as like one of those sort of guilty indulgences. Token says, not crazy at all. I love Taco Bell. So good. And I'm really anxious to try the one in BKK. Yo, the Taco Bell, man, be ready to pay $3 for a taco, though, if you want beef. My boy, Eric, Minority Nomad, paid $3.99 baht for a beef taco. I had the vegan taco there, which was actually cheaper than the beef, which is strange because the vegan meat, they use the Beyond Meat, which is quite expensive here. Economies of scale and all, but the sauce, it's a very Taco Bell experience. I don't think you'll be upset. If you like Taco Bell, you're not going to be mad at the Taco Bell here. I would say though, the one in there's a few of them now. There's one in MBK, there's one in Samyup Midtown. I believe this one in Mercury in Chitlom. There's one in Paragon, and I've seen a few little ones. There's one over in Anna as well. So you have your options for sure. Go more hike, not crazy at all. It's like Corona beer, boring but always predictable. Yeah, I mean I would say almost more consistent than McDonald's because the menu, right? McDonald's, while the fries are consistent everywhere, their burger menu changes depending on where you're at. But the Taco Bell menu, from what I can tell, is the same thing all the time. And those cinnamon twists, the Jib, I got the cinnamon twist when I ordered Grab delivery of the vegan Taco Bell. I gave some to Jib, and she's like, "Oh, these are actually really good. It's a nice dessert thing." Thumbs up from the Joe. Stuck says, "Stop Taco Bell." Puke. Richard Garnash, Twitchy is promoting you right now. Like, oh wow, I'm gonna go back and check Twitchy's stream after, but I'll definitely have to go say thanks to him. He stopped by my stream the other day. I've watched some of Twitchy's videos. I get why a lot of people dislike what Twitchy says. However, I don't necessarily think Twitchy's wrong, if that makes sense. Like he's not lying when he's saying stuff. And I think I don't know. I think his real name is Greg. I don't know him personally, but I get the feeling that his character, his channel Twitchy, I get the feeling a lot of that might be a character, which I think is brilliant, and his content's pretty cool actually. But I understand why a lot of the Thailand people don't like him because he calls them out on bullshit. So if he's promoting me right now, man, I'm super grateful. I dig what he does. So if he's promoting me, I have a lot of appreciation for that. Senior Frank says, Young Camel was a lot like standard pot roast, tender and flavorful. It's cooked to where the fat all melts away into the sauce. Okay. Older Camel is a bit tougher, like a skirt steak if cooked right. Oh, that's interesting. So, yeah, like a pot roast, that makes a lot of sense. Like Young Camel, Older Camel, like a skirt steak. Okay. Interesting. What was the flavor like? Was it gamey, or could you compare it to beef, Frank, or was it more like a lamb or a goat type of taste, or maybe venison is a better comparison? I don't know. If you could chime in. I don't know what your meat exposure has been. I mean, before I stopped eating meat, I had quite a few different meats: venison, buffalo. Yeah, I guess not like crazy exotics, but alligator, stuff like that. Oh wow, yeah, I just jumped up to 26 viewers. Wow. So I guess a lot of you guys popped over from Twitch's channel, maybe. So thank you for all you guys for coming to check me out. Please like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate that. I'll throw that up there. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. In the future, all restaurants, right? Demolition Man, I would say, Demolition Man is one of the most underrated sci-fi movies. One of my favorites by far. Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock. Great movie. All restaurants are talking after the restaurant wars. Do they have White Castle there? Is a sign of a well-developed nation. Unfortunately, there's no White Castle in Taco Bell. I don't even think there's any in Asia. Maybe in Hong Kong there's one. We're not where. Damn your autocorrect. Right, fat thumbs, Frank. Fat thumbs. Oh man, I hope Taco Bell. Oh, you don't have one in Pattaya? Yeah, there's so many in Pattaya vlog. There's so many in Bangkok now. I can't imagine it will be too long. Hopefully, after COVID, it'll be right for a Taco Bell in Pattaya. I can see it doing well there. Taco Bell here is fine, limited menu and expensive, but still reeks your gut. Yeah, no, it still gives you the shits the same way you would expect it to in the US. I mean, it delivers every time. Yeah, limited menu. And like I said, I liked it when they had the Beyond Meat. I don't see that at least not on the Grab menu anymore. I'm not motivated enough by Taco Bell to go out and actually get it, but very motivated to order it on Grab when I see it. Unseen Thailand, Chiang Mai. Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming over. Oh, great profile picture. I love that. Bob Knox, boom, from Twitchy's channel. Hey, thanks for coming over, Bob. Guys, please, if you're new here from Twitchy's channel, I'm gonna have to pop over to Twitchy's channel later and thank him, and very much for talking about me on his stream. Like I said, I love what he does. I think it's great, and I get why a lot of people have hate for it, but I think he delivers it really well. So I'm a fan. Senior Frank said, very much like beef. Okay, so I guess when the fat renders out of the camel like that, then it's got that kind of beefy sort of texture as well. Picking on dying or dead people in their families has a lot to do with why people don't like him. Long story. I don't know about that. I've only come across his channel in the past couple months, so I can only judge what I've seen stuck. So I don't know the backstory. This is a Twitchy raid. Hey, guys, thanks for coming over. I just discovered this channel, Teacher Thomas Thailand. Hey, Teacher Thomas Thailand, man. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Rob P. from Twitchy. Yeah, welcome the Twitchies. Thank you guys for coming over from Twitchy. Much love to all you guys. I very much appreciate it. Senior Frank says, I've eaten a few exotic meats. If Mike were here, I would expect. Yeah, Mike's obviously a bit more versatile in his eating habits than myself, but I said before giving up the meat, I ate quite a few, and I definitely see the appeal. There's some interesting stuff. I've even eaten rodent a few times. I had rat in Cambodia back in 2006, grilled rat, which actually wasn't bad. It was quite juicy. If that sounds. Rice field rat, not those dirty Phnom Penh rats. This is a different story. Hey, Dennis Dixon, thanks for coming over from Twitchy's channel, man. Love the coffee vid. Yeah, I knew you would, Steve, right? With Pac. Pac's a great guy with his coffee. With his coffee stuff. He's big into the grinders right now. That Commandante grinder that he's selling is one crazy expensive. I think he's selling it at 12,000 baht, and he can't keep them in stock. They sell out as soon as he gets them. But it's a beautiful hand grinder. But yeah, Pac and I are actually talking about something else to do when he's getting something new in. So we'll be trying out. It'll be a pour over video when he gets it. So I'll probably go to his place and we'll do that. He lives actually not far from me. He's in Prakanong. Stuck says, I know exactly what you're talking about, Sad. There's some piece. I don't know who you guys are referring to, but I'm sure one of you guys will shoot me an email and fill me in. Teacher Thomas says, have you ever been to Rayong? I have been to Rayong a few times. So I went over to Rayong, I think on my second trip to Thailand. I went to visit there, and I believe that was when it happened to coincide with when they had an oil leak in the Gulf. And so most of the beaches were shut down for cleaning when I was there the first time. And then I think the last time I was in Rayong was 2015, probably 6 years ago. And everything was clean and beautiful out on the beaches. Actually, no, you know what? Yeah. So yeah, the first time I went to, no, I was at Rayong once before the oil spill. So I've probably been there 3 times. So maybe I must have gone on my first trip to Thailand as well. Because I remember eating at a seafood buffet on the beach in Rayong. Again, probably 2010, maybe before that. And it was a cool time. It was definitely a bit industrial. So a bunch of people who I know from the university who graduated in health and human services. So they graduated from the Faculty of Public Health. A lot of them went to work as compliance officers from Thai University. They graduated from Faculty of Public Health. A lot went to work as compliance officers in manufacturing in Rayong. So I know that there's a big industrial base somewhere either in Rayong or just on the outskirts of the city. And you know, that seemed to be the feel I got when I was there anytime I was outside the beach area. But overall, not a horrible place. It wouldn't be my first choice to go back to on vacation. Token Nomad says I had alligator for the first time. Last time I was up in Chiang Mai was actually fairly tasty. You know, I remember alligator not being bad, actually. I had it. It was grilled up. I think I had it I want to say I had it in Florida like 20 years ago or something. And they brought it out as like a sample platter. And I think I got like an alligator burger as well. Andy Hardwood, hello, first time live stream viewer, only seen one of your vids before. We'll be checking your vids out. Hey Andy, man, thanks very much for checking it out and coming by. I appreciate it. Mike 3-1, do I have to say anything else? Yeah, Mike and his 3-1. He's definitely not a coffee guy. Hey, TTT, stuck in Florida. Go more hike. Hey, Ross and Rayong. A lot of Rayong folks coming over. I know where from, I guess. So thank you so much for coming over, guys. So since you guys or some of you guys are asking about Rayong, or you seem to be from Rayong, what is it? You obviously have more experience with Rayong than I do, right? I've only been there, like I said, a few times, and for 1 or 2 days at a shot, like never a prolonged time. So tell me what I'm missing about Rayong or why I should go visit there, because again, I don't know it so well other than the few times I stopped in there for various reasons. And I have, like I said, other than I also know there are a few people that went to work there from the university as compliance officers. Crocodile meat's not bad at all. You get occasional hints of human though. What? Oh, I get you talking your crocodile meat down down under there, Chris. Right? Yeah, that's just, you know, they are what they eat, right? I got the important question for you. Who let the dogs? Teacher Thomas Thailand says I own and operate a bar and grill plus American breakfast restaurant in Palabon, Chan Rayong. I'd love to have you visit sometime. Yeah, sure. Next time I come through that part of the country, I'll swing in for sure. Oh, comment between traffic lights. Joe P says, what's Twitchy's channel called? Twitchy Thailand, I believe, if you search it, Joe. Dr. B, the verb. What up, Dana? I'm putting Brian and Bell at bed, then I'll be swing back over. I'll keep the stream streaming. All right, man. Thanks. Dr. B, I'll talk to you back. I was just typing up an email to you this morning. So after I finish up the stream, probably around 10ish, I'll hit you up. I'll finish that off, send it over to you. Go More Hike says Ross is a vlogger. I follow his wife, owns a nice resort hotel there. Dan, it looks like a nice place. He's done videos. Oh, nice. I'll check it out for sure. Rayong is the highest per capita income in Thailand, home to the UTA PAO airport. Yeah, oh, there's an airport there as well. Nice. Yeah, I guess having the highest per capita income, really. I guess with all the industrial work there, right, tends to pay a bit more above average than normal. So yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I know a few people who went to work there as compliance officers. They were not upset with the income they were getting. Stuck. Born Nomad says, stay safe while driving. Thumbs up. Teacher Thomas Thailand, any signs of Dan? Oh, man. Oh, I really appreciate all you guys blasting over here from Twitch's channel. Much love. So I've got to think about like the projects going on this week. Like I said, I'm doing a training with a client, like a lot of coaching this week. And then I got a big meeting Wednesday that could be indicative of future textile projects that are going to be happening in the garment space, menswear specifically, garment space. So Wednesday will be a big bellwether for that. And I'm looking forward to it. I've prepped quite a bit. I'm bringing I've sent over a deck to the potential partner already. I'll be bringing some projections and numbers over, kind of giving me flashbacks to my startup days almost, because, it's the type of stuff that I would do, back in the startup time, like put the deck together, the canvas, put together the whole pitch, and then fly over and do the whole thing. So, from a design perspective now, to sort of dip back into that startup world and sort of rehash those skills is a nice feeling. So I'll be looking forward to that, and I'll update you guys on that project if it goes forward. But it's very promising from where it was last time I met with the potential partners. Oh, what's this? Hike says Ross and his wife own about 18 dogs. He's done a vlog about it. 18 dogs, man. What type? Jib would love to hear that. Jib's a big dog person. I'm not as much of a. I love dogs. I just happen to have an allergic reaction to dander, very bad. So I can't be around them too much. Did I tell you guys when I filmed the PMOC video, the temple video over in Prakanong? There, we walked to the Anna Community Mall afterwards for dinner or lunch at MK. And there's a pet cafe in that community mall, and they have a raccoon. So Jim and I were walking past the windows. They have all the windows to the pet cafe, which I'm kind of on the fence with the pet cafes. I mean, I know that some do take really good care of the animals, but there's a lot that just do not. And that kind of, you don't know, right? Unless you spend the time to look into them. So we were walking past. I just noticed they had like 15 corgis in this shop. And so we're kind of looking through the window at the corgis. It was a big space. So all the animals had space to move around, and the cats had all these things to climb on. It looked well maintained and clean. So I don't know. But then we looked in and they had a raccoon in the cafe. And this guy was letting the raccoon crawl all over him, and he was petting the raccoon. And I remember seeing a raccoon mess up a dog in the US like years ago, like 25 years ago. So I always thought of raccoons as like potentially dangerous animals. And here they have a full-blown raccoon in this cafe for people to pet. Let's see, where was I? Teacher Tom says, watching CCTV footage now. Last seen on camera 2 p.m. Friday. Still watching late night, early Saturday morning, like he's disappeared. You're talking about one of the dogs, I guess? Is that a Stark? Yeah, it is a Stark Enterprise shirt. Stark Industries hike. Not that you've ever heard of it. Jib says Raccoon was so cute. Yeah, here's the thing. So looking at it through the window of that cafe, right, it definitely looked cute. No doubt about it. Again, it's just my preconceived notions of Raccoon messing up this big dog that I think of it as a dangerous animal. And so when I saw it in the petting cafe, I was very kind of taken aback. I don't know if it's a different type of raccoon. I don't know if it's a different breed or what, but I remember this. I just have predilections of the raccoons I had encounters with being dangerous animals. And so to see it in the petting cafe was just it challenged my thoughts of it. And this guy was just super relaxed with this raccoon. He's just kind of kicking back and it's crawling all over him and he's petting it. And again, I don't know, maybe it's a different species of raccoon or different type, kind of like how there's different types of dogs. Maybe it's a different breed that's more temperamental or it's domesticated. I don't know. And I didn't even know that. Is it native to Thailand? Do they import these raccoons? Where are they coming from? Yeah, see, Hike agrees as raccoons are dangerous. Yeah, that's what I always thought. But then what I saw obviously challenges that thought because this guy was super relaxed and chilled with this raccoon. Senior Frank says, I have a video of that raccoon digging in my pocket. So you've been to that cafe in the Unnut Community Mall, Frank? What'd you think of it? Because I couldn't see, obviously I don't know what they do with the animals at night, but all those corgis and the cats, I don't know what they're actually doing to like would they keep them in that cafe overnight? Do they take them home? That's one of the things that I'm really wondering about with those types of cafes, because I remember that there was one across from Scala, and that particular cafe was eventually shut down because I believe it was actually Todd from Coconuts, the editor-in-chief at Coconuts, who went in and did a whole piece on exposing the animals. And he had I think they had photos of one of the cats peeing blood like on the floor, and just a lot of like mistreatment of animals. Now this one at Unnut, very in the open, big glass windows, a lot of transparency to the front of the house operation. But again, are they walking these animals every day? Are they taking them out? I have no idea about all of that. And that's one of the things I always worry about with these pet cafes. Steve says, raccoons are not afraid of people. They'll challenge you. Yeah, I remember I was getting challenged by a raccoon when I lived in Boston and came across one on a back street, not a back street, like a side street, going through the trash. And it was like, I don't know, hissing isn't the right word, but posturing up on me. Here, Stuck says, opossum can kill a raccoon twice its size. What? Really? So, those raccoons are imported. Yeah, Hike says the same thing as me. Really? I've been to the Animal Cafe a couple of times. I went one in a different part of Bangkok, but I think it's the same people. Okay. They have some lynxes as well as and other cats. They seem well cared for. So that, Frank, I'll say that when I was looking through the window, of course, I did not go in again because I'm crazy allergic to animals, so it wouldn't have been a good thing for me. But when I looked in, the animals did all look healthy and well cared for. But again, that's a superficial observation. I don't want to jump to conclusions on that. So, but again, that's what it looked like from the outside. But you never know. Again, apparently the one that was in Scala, it was very obvious that they were not caring for the animals, people said, from the way they looked. One funny thing I noticed, though, I saw people inside that pet cafe wearing plastic gloves petting the animals. That seems to be a bit counterintuitive to me. They were wearing plastic gloves and petting animals. I thought that was a little strange. Aren't lynx super dangerous to have as pets also? I've also known many people that had possums and raccoons as pets. Texas, yeah, right. Yeah, Texas. Possums and raccoons as pets. Wow. I knew someone who had, was it an armadillo? Is that the one that rolls up in the ball? I knew someone in Texas that had an armadillo pet. Well, someone from Texas that had an armadillo as a pet. He lived out in like the middle of nowhere, Texas, and he had one that would just follow him around his land. Like a bunch of desert or arid land. In Florida, Southern Florida, agree, kind of like wombats, cute and cuddly, but bite fingers off when they feel like it. Whole fingers, man. Australia, I'm telling you, born Nomad Productions, man. Chris, Australia is a crazy place. Everything you guys have, they just want to kill you. When wild versus domesticated animals, even domesticated can go wrong. Yeah, for sure. Wild ones even more so. Don't care to roll the dice just to go to cafe. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it might look cute. It's still an animal though, right? I saw, maybe it was a few years ago, that the people were trying to domesticate foxes and keep them as pets because they're cute. But it just seems like a bad idea to me in general. Senior Frank says, if it shows up on your doorstep, it can be a pet in Texas. No doubt, right? Stuck also says, armadillo's delicious red meat, nothing like varmint meat. Dude, Uncle Roger is watching your videos. His new video is him working in a coffee shop. Yeah, I saw that last night, him in the cafe in KL. I think I've actually been to that cafe in KL, actually. Armadillos can carry leprosy, not pet material in my book. Really? They carry leprosy? I think leprosy is actually curable, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, is it fungal? Yeah, can you cure leprosy? Let's see what Google says. With early diagnosis and treatment, the disease can be cured. People with harness disease can continue to work and lead active life during and after treatment. Leprosy was once feared as highly contagious and devastating disease, but now we know it doesn't spread easily and treatment is very effective. But yeah, I guess you still wouldn't want to have a pet that just carried it. Leprosy, also known as Hansen's disease, long-term infection. Oh, it's bacterial. So they treat it with antibiotics, I guess. Yeah, so it must just be treated with antibiotics. Yeah, Senior Frank says they do carry leprosy and it's curable. So can you if you have a pet armadillo, can you give it antibiotics so it's no longer a carrier of leprosy, or is that not possible? Let's see if anyone knows. So let's talk about Suburban Beard. Actually mentioned Uncle Roger, and it got brought up when Cornelius Lowe, the wrestler, was on my live stream the other day. If you guys haven't seen that, if you're into professional wrestling or Asian professional wrestling, definitely check out the interview with Cornelius. He's such an interesting dude. Great guy, really interesting. But so Suburban Beard asked him, would he ever fight Uncle Roger? And of course, Cornelius, being a showman, was like, yeah. But after the fact, him and I were talking about it, and he was saying, like, there's actually quite a bit of controversy in Malaysia with Uncle Roger, or Nigel Ying at the moment, due to, I guess he did a video with about dumplings with a guy who speaks out against or has certain opinions about the Uyghur situation in China. And then Uncle Roger, or Nigel Ying, deleted that video altogether. And I guess there's some controversy that because he's monetized on TikTok, that he was actually doing it to sort of be friendlier to a Chinese audience, which, I kind of get. Like, if his content, he's trying to appeal to a wide variety of people. And so I can see why he would be sensitive to those things. But at the same time, I don't know. He's a comedian. I guess I sort of, when I think of comedians, I want to hold them to a standard that maybe is a tad higher. So in that they call out, one of the nice things about comedy is you can speak truth to power and do it in a way that is entertaining, informative, and sort of skirt under the radar. And I don't know his reasons for deleting the video. I don't know all the controversy behind it, so I don't want to speak on it necessarily, but I will say that it was interesting to hear Cornelius talk about the views of Uncle Roger, even though he's super famous and very popular in Malaysia at the moment. There's a lot of controversy around him because of that, and sort of being seen as, I guess, being seen as bending the knee to the chairman or to Winnie the Pooh, however you want to look at it. So, you can cure the armadillo, same as people. So do they just carry leprosy, or do they actively have the disease and are fighting it? Or they have symptoms, Frank, from the leprosy? Or Hugh says, or I could just hunt something else. Yeah, that'd be interesting to know about the armadillos, if they actually, do they suffer from the leprosy, or is it just them? Is it just them not feeling good about it? Lenny Bruce, one of my heroes. Lenny Bruce. I mean, so do the armadillos, do they carry it, or they just, okay, some just carry, none at all? Okay, so just a carry. They don't actually suffer from leprosy. The Wikipedia page for leprosy is not a good, definitely does not paint a interesting picture of the disease, or a flattering picture of the disease. Damn. Very serious if it gets advanced. It's crazy what modern medicine has done. Wiped a lot of diseases off the face of the planet. Hopefully we can do the same thing with the COVID. I'll close this Avid Media editing suite website. I don't need to be seeing that, Chris. Money I don't need to spend, for sure. Oh, man. It's going to be a good day. It's getting warm, though. It's already 30 degrees, not even 10 a.m. yet. That's going to be a bit brutal. So, yeah, I think I'm going to film in today Asok, Nana, and maybe Siam if I have time. So I'm probably going to edit the last video I have from the other day, get that exported, and get the... Oh, Joe says he's going to lay down. Sorry, no, don't be sorry, man. You got COVID, dude. We're going to lay down. See you guys later. Be good. Hey, Joe, feel better, man. Rest up. I hope you feel good. I'll hit you up on Messenger later, see how you're doing, man. I hope you're getting better. For those of you guys who don't know, who just popped over here, Joe's fighting COVID, and he's like a boss kicking its ass, but it's taking its toll on him. So he's also, he's usually, Joe's one of these guys like me who get very little sleep. He's just nonstop production, but an effort put in there, but this is taking its toll on him. So rest up, brother. I'll hit you up later on Messenger, see how you're doing. So yeah, I was saying I'm going to head out. I'm going to film Asok, probably 2 videos in Asok, 2 in Nana. And then if I have time, I'll go to Siam and get some footage of Scala for the Scala video. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man? Yeah, Joe. Paul says take care of yourself. You're still listening. Joe's the type of guy who will leave the computer on and just listen while he sleeps. I know Joe. Yeah, he's not the first person I know with COVID, but he's the first person I know who's had like some serious effects from it. One of my buddies had it and never even felt sick. He had a positive test. He felt a little bit fatigued for like a day, and that was it. Nothing serious. Never any respiratory issues. And I know Joe was telling me the other day that he had a little bit of trouble breathing, but he feels like he's on the upswing. So that's a positive for sure. man, what? Oh yeah. So anyway, so I'm trying to film today, 2 in Asok, 2 in Nana, and then get some footage from Siam, and I might do a walk around of Siam Square, if depending on what the construction looks like there and how busy it is. But yeah, I definitely want to get that footage of Scala before I can't access the building. And it's a nice clear day out, so I'll be able to get some nice cinematic footage. But nice blue sky. But yeah, I'm afraid that that building, as beautiful as it is, it's got an award from Princess Serentone. However, there's really no protection of historical places that aren't linked to religion or the royal family here in Thailand. So they could very easily just tear that building down, which would be unfortunate. It's a beautiful piece of architecture in a gorgeous part of the city. That the fact that Siam is so built up now, and you still have a building like Scala that exists, is gives a nice juxtaposition to life in the city itself. So I will be very sad if they tear that down and put a condo there. A condo. The rumor is it's going to be a mall slash condo, which would be very sad to me because again, it's a gorgeous building, and of course, I have a lot of memories at Scala. Like I said, you see, I have the chairs, even though I've got this cardboard and envelope back there. Actually, that's Eric's envelope, but Joe's already gone. But Eric's envelope from Joe. But yeah, I bought chairs from Scala specifically because I have so many memories there. It's was such a beautiful part of my life here in Bangkok because of Jib introducing me to that theater, and she went there all through university. And again, it'll be sad if they do tear that down and turn it into something. I mean, at the very least, I would love to see them integrate that architecture and into whatever they build, like build onto that as opposed to tear it down and completely replace it with some type of hideous condo mall. Because honestly, in my opinion, the last thing Siam Square needs is another mall. There's already like 10 of them. What did oh yeah, Paul, I agree, man. Unfortunately, money talks in areas like, for sure, man. I mean, and obviously it's a 2-story building that has a single movie theater in it. Financially, it makes almost no sense. And it was 120 baht to go into that 120 baht to go into that theater, watch a first run movie. Popcorn was 40 baht. And it was a very affordable experience. It was also just, I would go there. Jib and I would go every month at least to the Thailand. I forget what the name of the classic cinema organization in Thailand. We would go to their showings every month, and we actually still have the tickets. The last showing we were supposed to go to was for The Graduate, and it was the weekend after they closed the theater due to COVID. So we still have those tickets as kind of a memory. And we end up, the chairs that I bought from Scala are the 2 chairs that Jib and I would sit in when we went to the movies. So row L in our 2 seats. So yeah, it's a sad thing when something like that goes away. Of course, nothing lasts forever, right? We have to move on. And technically, the theater was obviously not as advanced as the theater in Emporium or in Paragon or Central World. And Eric, Minority Nomad, would always give me shit about, going to see Marvel movies at Scala as opposed to Emporium or at the IMAX theater with him. But to me, there's no comparison. Theater is about the experience, not necessarily about the technical experience. Yes, technical plays a role. And so for instance, I saw, oh God, what was the Nolan movie? On the World War II epic. God, why Dunkirk? I saw Dunkirk in Scala first because I every movie that came out, I would go see it in Scala. So I went to see Dunkirk in Scala, but it was filmed on 70 millimeter IMAX. So I went. We only have one 70 millimeter IMAX theater in Thailand at Paragon. So I went to see it there as well. Same thing with Tenet. Oh no, we didn't get to see Tenet at Scala. Scala was already closed. So no, I saw Tenet at both a regular theater and at IMAX. There's Yeah, there was just something about it. I don't want to sound like a get off my lawn old man hanging on to the past, but it's just a shame to see such a beautiful piece of architecture potentially go away. And it's just, I guess, my thought. But yeah, you're right. Money talks, especially in an area like Siam that is commercial heavy. And you can't fight progress, right? That's the saying. I sort of disagree, but I wish there was a way to make it viable. And I understand the economics of it, but I love that theater, and I love the architecture. It's beautiful. That whole area of Siam Square, even the short time out, the 8 years I've lived in Thailand, has changed completely. Steve says many freestanding theaters in LA were converted to mini malls. Disgusting lost stock. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and a mini mall is the most disgusting architecture of all. I mean, and I'm a fan of brutalism. I love brutalist architecture. And a mini mall, though, is just any mall is just this a block of concrete with a shrine to consumerism, which drives me insane. All over the world, we see consumerism take hold, and we see it as economic driver, and it shapes the landscape of so many cities, shopping malls, retail districts. It's frustrating, but and I've made this argument before. A lot of people disagree with me. Obviously, and malls still exist here in Asia. It's still a big thing. It's part of the culture. Paragon, obviously, Central World. They're building the Mall of Bangkok down in Bang Na, which is going to be the biggest mall in Thailand, if not the world. But one of the things overall, I think the success of Amazon and the ubiquity of Amazon in the West has done is create an opportunity for a return to brick and mortar boutique retail. And I think it's opened up the ability. One, of course, e-commerce is still super important for small brands. As someone who owns a small brand, I see that, right? You can't not be in the e-commerce space. But there have been some people, like my friends at Soric out in Austin, Texas, have done really well to develop a retail brand in a brick and mortar location and create an experience out of it. And I think that has shaped the way we look at retail from the small boutique brand perspective. And it's changing it back to probably what it was before I was born. So there's an opportunity to go back to quality over quantity. And again, fast fashion and consumerism disgust me on many levels, but e-commerce has created an opportunity to fight that in some ways, while also, unfortunately, at the same time, proliferating it around the world. It's a double-edged sword. We have to figure out a way to handle it. Hugh says, looking forward to all the vids. Just don't wear yourself out before big Wednesday event. Take care. Good night. Hey, have a good night, Hugh, and thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, Wednesday will be interesting. And again, big opportunity from a textile perspective to do something unique with a partner. So I'm looking forward to it. 180 Golden Boy. Hey, just subscribe. Hey, thank you so much for subscribing, man. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Idea Squad. Paul Rogers. Bangkok is slowly turning into any other Asian city. What makes it Bangkok to me is eroding every year. I suspect when they look back, they will wish they had some architecture retention policies. Yeah, and I wish they did. Again, the temples and the palaces are all beautiful, and obviously they'll protect those, but there are some very unique architectural pieces in Bangkok. And actually, I think maybe I'll do a video about that in general, because I think that I'll do an architectural walk. I've done some architectural photography in Bangkok, but maybe it's worth me doing a vlog about architecture and some of my favorite pieces in the city, because Bangkok as a whole does have some gorgeous architecture, and that can just really be appreciated. And I think maybe that is one of the things I'll do, and I'll go through and highlight. And I think I mentioned this in one of the videos that will drop this week or next week. I actually love the architecture, the brutalism of the BTS stations. Just, these massive concrete platforms in the middle of the city, and essentially no matter where you are in Bangkok, if you're on Sukhumvit or Siloam, it's this stark contrast to the architecture around it, and creates this really unique urban feel and look to it that I love. One of the things I love, I used to have an office over in Siloam with one of my previous companies in Cheongnaengsi, actually. And I could see right where the BTS curved, right where it turned at Cheongnaengsi. I could see that part of the line from my window. And I remember just appreciating these concrete platforms in the middle of the city, all this glass around it. And there was this one building right on the corner I could look down on, and it had like a little sort of old Chinese looking house on the roof of this parking garage. And it was just this really cool juxtaposition with all the modern size skyscrapers. We're in it was called the Peso building. And so, the very, very average office building, glass, concrete, steel, in the middle of the city, but then this big brutalist platform in the middle of the street surrounded by all these different houses. I thought it was just really cool. And yeah, I agree. They're going to wish they had some protection in place or some policies to protect some of the unique architecture of the city. But, it's, every city deals with these things in different ways. And Bangkok and Thailand especially are in a unique situation where I think the next 2 decades are gonna shape the city in different ways compared to its neighbors in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. And I think Bangkok has done. They obviously haven't advanced economically the same as KL and Singapore, but they've held on to their culture quite a bit differently, or I don't want to say better, but in a more aggressive way. And there's some things that will change as they grow, and I think some of those growing pains have been experienced sort of rapidly over the past 5 years, and we'll see more of that. And it just, it's balancing on the knife's edge, Paul. Where does the culture and the beautiful aspects of, what a lot of us and what a lot of Thais love about Bangkok and about Thailand, where does that fall in the paradigm of economic growth? So, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited to be here during that time. It's amazing, but I don't know the outcome, and I'd be foolish to think that I alone could shape or steer that outcome. But it'll be very interesting to be part of it and see how the economy and the culture and the city grow and expand. I hope I don't end up being the old man talking about, in my day we had beautiful buildings and today everything looks like a big glass sculpture. So a lot of you guys who have been around the channel, I know a lot of you guys just came here from Twitchy stream, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much. One of my good friends and longtime collaborators is a Thai actor named David Asavana. He was in Countdown. If you guys haven't seen it, probably one of the best movies to ever come out of Thailand, in my opinion. But he recently co-directed and acted in a movie called Laser Candy that will be coming out this year. And I've seen the trailer already. I don't know if it's been released on YouTube yet, but it looks pretty good considering there's a lot of CGI in it and it's a Thai movie. But the story will be really interesting about Bangkok from this sort of futuristic cyberpunk perspective, and also like playing on these ideas of architecture and fascism and oversight and government and all these things kind of tied into this interesting story. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen a final cut, but I'll be very interested based on what David's told me to see what the final edit looks like and if the story holds true to what they filmed. Now, I don't know what the censor board looks like with those type, or how they look on those type of things, but it'll be. I'm excited for that movie to come out because I think it'll paint an interesting future for people to think about from the perspective of Bangkok as a future city and what it could grow into and what we might not want it to grow into. Dr. B, kids are in bed. What I miss? Hey, Dr. B, just talking about Scala, the theater in Bangkok, and sort of reminiscing on what it was, and and discussing the position that the city is in from a lot of perspectives with regards to preserving historic architecture versus growing. And like I said, I think for me, Scala itself will be a litmus test. Do they add on to that structure and build something onto it and create this building that is somewhere between old and new, or do they just tear it down completely and slap a concrete building up in 12 months and move in 1,000 Chinese people to buy the condos and rent them out on Airbnb? Time will tell. Hey, Dave, what's up? You back? Hey, you going out to the construction site today, Dave? Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, Dave lives in Surin. Gotta love Thailand. Dave lives in Surin, and he's going to he's building a house right now, and he's putting vlogs up about the process. And so the foundation is done. And last video I saw, I think I'm one behind on your channel, Dave, but they've built they're framing out the first floor. So I'll be excited to see how that framing goes. But it's been a really cool process. He's been getting some good updates on it. So I like following along. Paul says, I'm trying to rack my brain and think of an ultra modern city that is revered for its architecture. Most rely on a mix of architecture from different periods. Yeah. I mean, look, Singapore is okay. I mean, I've never been blown away by the architecture in Singapore. It feels so manufactured. A lot of people, as I saw someone refer to it as Disneyland, with the death penalty. Disneyland with the death penalty. Very true. It has, to me, it has a very sterile, very utilitarian feel that I don't appreciate. And I've had job offers in Singapore multiple times, and it just always feels like too stressful of an environment for me to want to live in. I think the architecture in New York, again, stretches multiple periods. And I think that gives a lot of texture to the city. I was in Guangzhou. I spoke at the Guangzhou Innovation Festival 4 years ago. Oh, God, 4 years ago now. And as much as I liked Guangzhou, it felt like a very cool Singapore. It was still very modern and monotone in its architecture, if that makes sense, because the city as it is 20 years old, 30 years old in its current form. So there was a lack of texture and a lack of nuance to my limited experience in that city. And from an architectural perspective, everything looked the same. Everything had that new car smell, which I don't appreciate. By comparison, in China, when I was in Kuching, I always get confused if Kuching is in China and Kunming is in Borneo or vice versa. But when I was up north in northern China, there was a varied amount of architecture up there. And I thought that city had a very nice feel to it, very unique feel. Also, you're up in the mountains. There was great AQI when I was up there. So yeah, it was a different experience. But yeah, I can't think of a new modern city that has an architectural feel that lends depth and texture to the experience of being there, like Bangkok, like New York, even LA to some extent as a younger city. San Francisco is another great example of this. all these different periods of architecture overlapping within the city. Very unique. Oh, you're going out today? Oh, you'll post it today. Nice. I'll look forward to that. Like I said, Dave, I got one to catch up on yours. So, guys, definitely check Dave out if you want to see the process of building a house up country. Stuck asks, have they done anything with the old customs building in Bangkok? It's a shame it just sits there like a ghost building. Nothing that I'm aware of yet, Stuck. I remember hearing about a year or so ago that there were plans for that. Jib, if you're listening, babe, the old customs building, do you know if are there still plans to move forward with something there? I think it was supposed to be a museum and some office. I think it was supposed to be a government office and a museum. And I'm not sure if that's still the case. Paul says, are you drinking coffee out of a receptacle more akin to a hipster cocktail? It's an old mason jar. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, it's like a hipster / old-timey moonshine jar. And yeah, that is my daily coffee cup. It's got it holds 1 liter. I don't know if I put my hand behind it, can you get enough contrast to see the numbers? I'm thinking no with the light. But yeah, so my French press does essentially, it's a 1 liter French press. It produces about 900 mils. I can fit with my coffee. I can fit about 900 mils of hot water in there. I get about 800 mils out, 850 of coffee. And so when Jib isn't here, I drink the whole thing. And so I pour it in my mason jar and just drink out of that. I already had it. I brought it here with me from the US, and it was cheaper than buying a new coffee cup. So, and I like to drink out of clear glass. I like to see the coffee as opposed to a ceramic mug. Personal choice. And I also find it cools the coffee a bit quicker because ceramic has a higher thermal retention. So it gets my coffee down to drinking temperature much quicker, which is of paramount importance to me, Paul. So Stuck says, yeah, would make a great museum. Absolutely, it would. I think Jib's not listening because she would have responded. But yeah, Jib and I talked about that building a few times. And yeah, it is a shame that it has just been empty. I think it was intended to be Bangkok Customs building. I believe it was intended to be a government office and museum all in one. It says a historic building in Bangkok located on the east banks of Chao Phraya. You know, whenever we go past it on the river taxi, I'm always just blown away that it's just sitting there. But again, it must be, I imagine it's gonna be millions and millions of dollars to update and renovate. Oh, so here I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page. U City, in a joint venture with Amman Resorts and Silverlink Resorts, signed a development contract on 29 May 2019, giving a 30-year lease on the property. U City plans to spend 3 billion baht, 94 million US, restoring and developing a property as a luxury hotel. Okay, well, that's news to me. Slated to be completed by 2025. Work will begin with architectural excavation and cataloging in association with Fine Arts Department. Also, I guess it is now not going to be a museum. It's going to become part of a luxury hotel. Well, I'm looking at an old photo of it. Let me share this, actually. Let me share this tab. Because this is an old photo of it. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to share. Wrong tab. Why are you so stupid, Dana? This is it. This is an old photo of it, 1950s. It's beautiful with the boats in front. I just in full function, well maintained. It's such a gorgeous building. The clock up top. So if this is going to become a luxury resort, it'll be interesting to see how they integrate that architecture into the resort itself. So what Jib said? Oh, what building? Oh, babe, we're talking about the old customs building. It's on the screen right now. The one on the Chow Prior that we always talk about. I had thought it was going to be turned into an office and a museum, but I just read on Wikipedia that a company signed a 30-year lease to develop it into a luxury resort. And Jib, I know you're not reading comments because you're working and you're just listening. Stuck in Florida and Born Nomad Productions both say hello and good morning. But yeah, I mean, look at this building as it is, fully maintained, just beautiful, 1950s. Jib says, "Hey guys." Yeah, Jib, Joe already went to lay down as well. Jib and I were talking about Joe's condition with COVID, so he's not feeling good. So if Joe's sleeping early, he's definitely feeling run down. But yeah, this is just such a beautiful building right on the river. It'll be interesting to see it renovated into a resort, how they integrate the architecture, what they end up doing with it. But man, I'll be interested to see if they do it right. That would be another bellwether. That'd be another litmus test of how the city will grow and integrate the old with the new. Paul asks, how did Jib get on with her last assignment? With school, pretty well. So everything is pass fail for Jib. Really, it's a critique from her teachers, and her last one went pretty well. Now she's just wrapping up the second gold assignment. Jib, will you finish the last layer on the second gold piece today, or is that probably a few days out? Yeah, Chris, I agree, man. I hope they don't touch the outer facades of that. That would essentially negate the whole point of integrating it with a new building. So this is a picture of its condition today, and it's a sad state. Let me pull this up. This is what it looks like currently. Obviously not in the best of condition. There's even got, if you guys can see, weeds growing out of the top of it. Up in the gutters are all overrun by weeds. There's weeds growing on the side of it. I mean, telecom cables hanging off the front. Oh man, it looks like, looking at the photo of the parking lot, it actually looks like the parking lot may have been raised up, so the actual building may have a little bit below the asphalt. That's pretty common in that area because some of you guys may know Bangkok's sinking at a rather rapid pace, and in a lot of the buildings, especially by the river, are sinking, and they're building the roads up. So it looks like that might be the case here, where the building has sunk a bit and the parking lot has been built up around it. And then, you can see the cat tower behind it. Again, interesting juxtaposition with the architecture, though. This beautiful old building with the glass tower behind it. Yeah, not fantastic. But yeah, the state of this building is in incredible disrepair. You can see some of the surface, the beauty layer of the concrete in front here deteriorating on the first level as well. It being completely overgrown. Very rough position for a building to be in. Wooden shutters all in disarray. Dr. B says, did Trump buy it? No, Trump didn't buy it, thankfully. It says on the Wikipedia page, U City in a joint venture with Amman Resorts. Amman is a luxury hotel group with 32 destinations, 20 countries. Headquartered in Singapore. Oh, yeah, Jib says hotel. They were turning it into a hotel. Stuck says, I didn't know Joe had COVID. Hope he gets over it soon without after effects. Yeah, he tested positive the other day and has been feeling under the weather. Very tired. Nothing a quick power wash wouldn't fix. I looking at the facade there, Chris, I feel like the power wash would take half that concrete off the first level. I heard that Chang had bought up a large area around the Riverside residence and intend to convert that area into some entertainment area. Yeah, I had heard that as well, sort of to compete with the Singha building, that Singha residence, which I might get some of that Singha building on film today. We'll see how far down I get on Asok. Actually, Frank, I think it's a combination of two. The building is sinking and they've built up around it. Which is pretty common, that everything, and because it's on the river where it is, I mean, I think there's no question that building is sinking. And that part of the city is actually sinking faster than the rest. So it's definitely gone down a few centimeters, I would assume. But I believe they probably looking at the parking lot, it looks like a fairly updated version. So I think that this parking lot has probably been built up several times higher than previously. And just looking at the edge of where the building is, I think that's most likely the case. Jib says, I try to finish it today. Teacher will check tomorrow and fix it. Oh, the fixes are the bad part. When Jib will send me photos online of like everything her teacher said to fix. And Jib's a perfectionist, much like me when we do anything. So if the teacher says this is passable, but it's not perfect, Jib will still cut it out of her project and completely redo it. Is that a Sheridan in the background of this? That's the Sheridan behind the cat tower. Yes. 30-year lease doesn't seem very long if it's a 6-year build process. Yeah, I'm sure there's all types of guaranteed renewals and different things in the lease that make it viable. But yeah, 30-year does seem like a short time for a 6-year build. But again, I'm sure they're not going to sign that and put that much money into a $3 billion baht, $100 million into a build for 30 years alone. I'm sure they're going to look to renew, and they have guarantees in their contract that will allow that. Rob P asked, am I a Chang guy? I'm not a huge beer drinker. I'm not a huge drinker in general, Rob. But there's a beer, I think it's made by Singha, called Copper, which I like. It's good. It's tasty. But again, I drink, usually I split one with Jib. I'm not a big drinker. Actually, I like this. I forget the name of the Japanese. There's a Japanese pink, a peach flavored Japanese alcohol drink I like. It tastes actually like peach. It's kind of weird. And it's only 3% alcohol. But yeah, for beer, I like that Singha it's probably not a micro brew, but it's made by Singha. It's called Copper with a K. Quite nice. Nice color, nice flavor. Paul says to Rob, I used to love the Chang over you would get when it was 6.4. Now it's 5%. I feel robbed. I'm a Leo man or a beer Lao if I can find it. Beer Lao is not bad, actually. You know what? If you guys ever been to Myanmar, I'm not a fan of Myanmar. I've said this a few times. I've been to Yangon on business a few times, into Naypyidaw, but they have a beer in Myanmar called Myanmar beer. It's actually really good. It's a really good lager. I was surprised the first time I had it. It was probably the best thing about Myanmar, my trip. Dr. B says, I know Amin Resorts. I did work with them in Hugara, Egypt, did some dual use systems, installed solar as well, replaced their lights with LEDs. Oh, nice. So they have energy efficient resorts, Dr. B? Yeah, I don't know if I've ever met anyone that doesn't love beer Lao as far as like an option here in Asia. It's pretty good beer overall. There's a beer I had in Cambodia called ABC, Archipelago Brewing Company, and they had a stout, like almost like a Guinness. It was pretty good, actually. This is back in 2006 was the last time I was in Cambodia, so it's been a while for sure. For sure. Yeah, beer Lao is pretty good. That beer, the copper beer, I think made by Singha is pretty good. And I had the other day a riceberry beer. I think it's called riceberry on the can. It was quite tasty as well. Thomas, don't you want to know? Give me a Chong over all day long. Chong's not a horrible beer. It's actually it's got quite a full body flavor to it. Again, I'm not a beer guy in general, so I'm not the right person to ask on, what's good or what's bad. I just happen to know what I like, and that copper beer is my preference. Patty Doyle, my go-to beer is Chiang Mai Red Truck, a red ale, delicious. Chiang Mai. It sounds good. Red ale is nice. I'm assuming, Patty, that's something you can only get in Chiang Mai. Is that a local microbrew up there? Chiang Mai Red Truck. I'll have to see if I can find that here in Bangkok somewhere. Paul said, I found a source of beer Lao in the UK that would ship into Ireland. Bit because of Brexit, but because of Brexit, I can't get it for the moment. So only Shang and Sing here for now. And you're drinking Chong in Ireland. That tells me you're really committed to the Thai beer experience, Paul. If you're getting it in Ireland, which is Ireland's known for good beer, is it not? I'm looking up Chiang Mai Red Truck right now, Patty. Oh, everything just comes up as public transportation. Oh, here we go. Beer. Beer Chiang Mai. Oh, it's even got the little red truck on the label. Nice. I just found a blog post dedicated to this beer. Oh, it looks like someone's selling it. Yeah, I'm over. Oh, but you probably can't actually buy it online because they've disallowed the sale of alcohol online in Thailand. So I would imagine this sale wouldn't go through if I were to buy one. All right. Carry on. Thomas, I like Chang, but the alcohol content is screwed. One beer will be 5%, the other 20. Consistency. Come on. When I arrive in November, I plan on heading to Chip Beer in Kokret for a messy afternoon. Kokret, is there a brewery in Kokret? I haven't been to Kokret in a few years. Dr. B, the one in Hangin was upgraded. This was partially because of the switch to the Muslim Brotherhood control. The diesel credits were dispatched because they did not have the money. Okay. Sorry, I mean your comment cut off because of StreamYard, I think. They needed a way, or maybe it was just YouTube. They needed a way to reduce how much they were spending on power. Gotcha. Chiang Mai Red Truck is decent. I had it at a brew pub in Chiang Mai off Niman. Steve says I can get both Chiang and Singha in the Bay Area, but not Leo. Yeah, it makes sense in the Bay Area to be able to get at least Singha, but yeah, Chong as well. Nice. Yeah, Patty, when you starting the bike trip? When you hitting the road, Patty? I would imagine after the semester, right? Which should be March, April. Ireland is famous for a few, the big one being the black stuff, some amazing craft places doing some cool stuff, but the main beers are Euro imports. Wow. Really? I would have thought that it was more domestic stuff. That's interesting. It's mostly Euro imports. Interesting. Huh. But yeah, obviously Guinness, well known. I have a friend from Malaysia, very well known Malay guy, TV personality, and he was joking with me one day that he's not openly an atheist because he's a public personality in Malaysia, but if you know him, he's very atheist, and he hints at it quite a bit publicly with his work. But we were hanging out one night at a pub, and he's talking about how he went on the Hajj. I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, I went to Mecca. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I went to the Guinness brewery in Ireland, and I kneeled down in front of the brewery and kissed the ground. I had to laugh. He's a big Guinness fan, so he had me going for a minute when he was talking about it. I hadn't seen him for a few months, and he pulled that out. So I was like, what? And he got me. But yeah, he was a big Guinness fan. He had a ton of photos from visiting the brewery when he was in Ireland. Paddy Doyle, 3 weeks, can't come soon enough. Nice, man. 3 weeks hitting the road. What's the first province on your list, Patty? Where are you going to first? Rob, if you had to guess, when would you say Thailand opens up with limited quarantine, if any? So this is just a guess, Rob. Just a guess, because obviously I have no more information than the average person out there. I watch the news like everyone else. I don't have any insider info. I would imagine 2022, the soonest. Q1 2022, Q2. You might get limited quarantine with a vaccine Q3, Q4 this year, but I can't see it happening before that. All of our medical experts from the universities in the COVID response team are all saying that reduced quarantine at this point is not a good idea. So I think 2022, and I would imagine you won't see full travel open up until 2023, probably. Unfortunately, again, these are just estimates. I'll preface this by saying I don't know any more than anyone else. And these are just my personal guess based on what I've seen in the news. Dr. B, Patty, have fun with that. Just subscribe to your channel so we'll keep up with your trip. So actually, I have a question for Patty. Are you going to do, you've been doing a lot of property tours. I really dug if you guys haven't seen Patty's house tours with his very attractive real estate agent friend, he did 3 house tours. After he did the condo tours, he did 3 house tours in Chiang Mai that I thought were really nice. Very cool houses, very cool architecture, especially that last one, which the move-on for that house was cool because every house was different. So it wasn't like the cookie cutter move-ons you see on the outskirts of Bangkok. Dr. B, fixing my pronunciation here. Hergada. I got it. Thank you, sir. Scott, I subbed to both you and Patty Doyle. Maybe you guys could do something together on his trip south. Yeah, I believe Patty will be swinging by when he's in Bangkok. We'll do something for sure. I will show him some big mango hospitality when he gets through here. Because I think it's best to start in the very south and head up from there. So most southern province is Yala. Nice. So are you going to drive all the way down to Yala? Or are you going to throw the bike on a train, Patty? I don't know if you can do this cargo because I've taken cargo up to Chiang Mai from Bangkok on the train, and I saw people putting bikes on to go up to Chiang Mai. So I'm sure you can do the same thing to go south if you put a bike on the train and they'll ship it for you. It's super cheap. It's not expensive at all. They like wrap it in. You have to take all the fuel out. I know that. And then they wrap it in plastic and throw it on the train. So is that how you're going to do it? Or are you going to actually drive south and then get there? Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, send on the train. You can send bikes less than 150 cc. Yep. Yeah. Take the fuel out, wrap it in plastic, throw it on the train. Paul says, my view on travel reopening is that it won't reopen until the most vulnerable and frontline workers have been vaccinated. I'm not sure what the numbers will be involved in doing this in a pop of 66 million. So we got our first vaccinations arrived last week, Paul, and they are slated to go to frontline workers. And then the next group on the list is the elderly. And then obviously they'll move down. I think I'm on my age. I could buy a vaccine privately from one of the hospitals. They've been advertising them now. So I could get a private vaccine purchase, but I think I'm in the next to last group risk wise. So I probably, if I wanted to get it sooner rather than later, I'd have to buy it. So I'll wait till the rollout starts and then the hospital start to sell it off privately. I'll probably, for Jib and I, will probably get the vaccine ahead of schedule by buying it privately. Senior Frank, my guess is that the vaccine rollout in Thailand, tourist areas will have more impact on quarantine than foreigners getting vaccinated. And I disagree, Frank. I think I think they're going to wait and look at what the overall vaccination situation looks like globally, and it'll be more. I believe looking at the way the government has responded to the recommendations of Thailand's medical community, I believe that they will wait for a large majority of the global population to have been vaccinated and then implement a vaccination travel program that allows people to come in if they've been vaccinated with either limited self-quarantine or no quarantine at all. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I imagine that's going to happen in next year. I have a hard time envisioning a widespread relaxing of rules based on the way they've responded to medical advice thus far happening in 2021. Unless something dramatic happens globally. Again, I'm not an expert. I don't have a medical degree. I was an engineer before I was a designer, so I have no medical experience at all, man. So take this at face value. It's free advice, so it's worth exactly what everyone paid for it. Nothing. I think this year you'll see loosening depending on Thailand's vaccine strategy. Loosening perhaps, but elimination and open travel, probably no. Perfecto. Yeah, well, you broke it down phonetically for me. So, no question there. That's why I hit it. Thanks. How much are they? I'm 64. Do you know? I don't have the price yet, Dave. Once I get a price, I'll pass it over to you on Messenger. Let you know. But different hospitals were advertising different prices for vaccines, and the hospital that I go to for most of my stuff, I'll have to check and I'll see. But yeah, you're 64, so you would be, and you're on a retirement visa, so you'll be, I think you're in the second group actually of individuals. So you would be right after frontline workers. How much is it? Yeah, I don't know how much the private vaccination is going to cost. I'd heard some people throwing out, I'd seen numbers being thrown out at the 3,500 baht range, which I would pay for sure. I don't know if that's what it's going to be or not. It may be more, it may be less, depends on the hospitals, what they want to charge, what the availability is going to be, and also which version it's going to be. I believe they vary in cost dramatically. Rob P asks, am I from New York? No, I am not from New York. I grew up in Rhode Island and I then lived in Boston for 5 years. So what you hear, if you're picking up my accent, it's probably a combination of my original Rhode Island accent and the Boston accent I picked up for living there for 5 years in my late teens, early 20s when I had my first company out there and went to college out there. Yeah, so that's probably what you hear is that Boston, New York combination. parking my car at Harvard Yard. And then I lived all over. So, but I mean, I lived in North Carolina, California, Ohio. Went to undergrad in Kansas, grad school in Wisconsin. So I picked up a little bit of everything, I guess, living all over. But I would say my accent was strongly cemented by my mid-20s with this unfortunate New England twang, if I can call it that. New England accents are unique and interesting in themselves. But yeah, I think that's what you hear if you're asking about my accent, how I talk. It's a definite New England influence. Yeah, you saw 3,500 also. Yeah, I think that was these damn pigeons flying in my driveway. So yeah, 3,500 is what I saw, but that was one hospital. I believe different hospitals are going to have different pricing. They'll all be competitive with each other, I'm sure. Paul Rogers says, I think I saw a few around 100 baht to 100 to 150 USD. I also heard that Farangs won't get a state provide vaccine. I believe it depends on your visa. If you're here on a tourist visa, I don't think so. But if you have a non-immigrant O or something like that, I believe you can qualify for the government vaccines. So I don't know about retirement, right? So I pay because I pay into Social Security here because I have a work permit and I pay into the Social Security system. I qualify for all the same benefits that a Thai would who pays into Social Security. So I actually I'm registered at a public hospital. So if I were to need treatment, I could go use my Social Security for that. And so I believe that allows me to get the same benefit vaccine wise. I do not know if that applies to retirement visas or not. Again, I pay into Social Security here because I pay tax because of that whole system. So that you get the benefits of that as a foreign worker, if that's the case. So I would qualify for I believe, I don't know 100%. I believe I would qualify for that. Don't take that as gospel, please. But that's my understanding. Paul. Senor Frank, I think with AstraZeneca, they are limited on how much they can charge by arrangement due to it being publicly funded vaccine. Yeah, I believe that is the case, but I understand that some of the private hospitals were looking at different versions of the vaccine. I don't remember. I think 2 vaccines are approved by the Thai government right now, with several other under evaluation at the moment. I'm not sure if that is 100% correct or still the case. A lot of things up in the air. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the rollouts. I think one hospital did get in trouble for pre-selling vaccines before any were approved in Thailand. And I remember that being in the news, that they got in trouble for their marketing, that they were marketing COVID vaccines before the Thai government had approved one. And I think they were slapped on the wrist, maybe a little fine. And it was a hospital in Bangkok or just outside of Bangkok that was advertising it. And I believe that was also around that 3,500 price range, or it was 3,500 to reserve a vaccine. And the hospital didn't even yet have an order in for a vaccine because none had been approved. And so that was the only thing. Their marketing is what caused the issue. I'm not sure how much that is the case or not. But let's see what time it is. 10:30, guys. 10:36. We've been going for 2.5 hours. So I'm going to wrap it up because I want to eat something and then get a little bit of writing done before I head out. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me this morning, hanging out here on Idea Studio. All of you guys who came over from Twitchy's channel, thank you so much. If you subscribed, I appreciate the hell out of you. If you didn't, if this is not for you, then hey, all good. No problem. Steve says, yeah, I'm gonna meet Mike. So I'm gonna meet Mikey over at the Dunkin' in Peabody. Over in Peabody. Then we're gonna head out to Worcester. Cheers, Chris. Guys, thank you everyone for coming by the live stream, hanging out. Again, like I said, if you came from Twitchy, you subscribe, thank you so much. If you came over, it's not for you. All the same, I appreciate you coming by nonetheless, guys. And video will drop. Next video on the Walk and Talk series will drop tonight. And then there's a few other things in the works, so I'll keep you guys posted. And I will try to do a live stream with Jib this weekend and update everyone on where she's at with the craft projects and some of the things that we're looking to do once she graduates at the end of the month. Until next time, guys, keep taking action. Make your ideas reality.